Imagine logging into a highly secure underground marketplace. Your connection is heavily encrypted, your identity is masked, and your payments are completely untraceable. For a moment, you feel perfectly safe. But there is a catch. For the past month, Dutch police have been secretly operating this exact server, and they are actively logging your real physical location. Hollywood portrays this space as a massive, untouchable criminal underworld, where law enforcement is entirely powerless to stop the flow of illicit goods. In reality, it is a highly monitored environment. When pressured by international task forces, absolute anonymity fractures easily. To understand the true scale, we can look at this animated diagram. The massive sphere represents the roughly 50 billion indexed pages of the public surface web. Right next to it, that microscopic dot represents the roughly 150,000 active dark web services operating on a typical day. The confusion comes from mixing up definitions. As the diagram shifts, we see to deep web, which includes standard unindexed pages like private bank portals or medical records, as a massive iceberg beneath the surface. The dark web is just that tiny locked box buried at the very bottom, requiring specific overlay software to access. Blurring these two concepts inflates the mythology of a sprawling shadow internet. The actual dark web is incredibly small and intentionally restricted. We also tend to talk about the dark web as a single unified place. Actually, it is a collection of distinct, completely non-interoperable overlay networks. This diagram illustrates the mechanics of Tor, the most famous network. Notice how a data packet moves through a 3-hop circuit, wrapping and unwrapping layers of encryption, like an onion, to separate your identity from your final destination. Then there is I2P, the Invisible Internet Project. Unlike Tor, which often acts as a proxy to the normal web, I2P is engineered strictly for self-contained internal darknet services. Watch the routing paths shift here to see I2P's garlic routing. It utilizes completely separate unidirectional tunnels. Incoming data travels a different path than outgoing data, making traffic analysis incredibly difficult for outside observers. Finally, we have Hyphenet, formerly known as Freenet. It ignores live interactive browsing entirely, focusing instead on static data storage and censorship resistance. When a user uploads a file to Hyphenet, the network fragments and encrypts the data, scattering those pieces across the allocated hard drives of participating peer nodes around the world. The underlying cryptography of these three architectures holds up to intense scrutiny, but the math is rarely what gets a criminal caught. International task forces know they cannot easily break the encryption, so they target the operators. They hunt for a single failure in human operational security. The original Silk Road marketplace fell because of a simple technical oversight. A leaky CAPTCHA on the login page accidentally loaded from the open internet, instantly exposing the server's real IP address to investigators. Agents then traced the creator's digital alias back to a years-old public forum post, where he had casually included his real email address. Later, the massive Alphabay marketplace collapsed because its administrator made a similar unforced error. He accidentally broadcasted his personal email address in the automated welcome messages sent to new users. Impenetrable encryption offers zero protection if the person running the server makes one permanent mistake. Authorities also relentlessly attack the financial layer, aggressively tracing supposedly anonymous cryptocurrency payments through the blockchain. In 2022, the U.S. Treasury and blockchain analysis firms traced $5.2 billion in crypto flow to identify its users, sanction the operations, and completely dismantle the hydro market. And when tracing fails, police use deception. During Operation Bayonet, Europol and Dutch police covertly seized control of the servers hosting Hansa Market, turning it into a massive honeypot. They then executed a deliberate strategy. They shut down the rival Alphabay Market first. This drove thousands of panicked buyers and sellers directly into Hansa, a platform the police were already running to harvest their passwords and shipping addresses. Massive digital empires fall to coordinated international psychological warfare and classic undercover stings. Today, criminal darknet markets operate in a state of fractured paranoia. Trust is scarce, and platforms are highly unstable. Illicit buyers and sellers live in constant fear that administrators will vanish with their funds or that the site is an undercover sting. But looking at this pie chart, the statistical reality contradicts the pure criminal narrative. research shows that roughly 55% of active Onion sites actually host legal content. These networks provide essential, secure communication channels for journalists, corporate whistleblowers, and citizens living under authoritarian censorship who need to safely bypass national firewalls. The dark web is ultimately a neutral architectural tool. It provides vital privacy for those who genuinely need it. But for criminals, true and lasting anonymity is an illusion.